Mic off. Mic on.
Alrighty, time to start stream. Looks like it's just me today. Um, a lot of our other volunteers are getting ready for school starting back up again. I felt it literally feels like school stopped just a week ago, but whatever works. So they're getting back up and ready for that. So here I am, planning not swim, miniSWE, which for those who don't know what miniSWE is, it is a plugin server that we are setting up in the meantime before the official SWEM mod server is up and running and released. Um, so we plan in a general sense because it hasn't been planned yet. That's what I'm doing today. It's been planned in a general sense to be a smaller version of actual SWEM. So SWEM has a 4,000 by 4,000 starter map for the base dimension, and then after that it has other dimensions that you can go to and things like that. But for the original, it's 4,000 by 4,000, and that is still not complete after I believe it's been a minimum of 6 months building that. So we're not going to do something that large again. And we can't take the original SWEM map, because my original idea was to take the SWEM map and just, plug it into vanilla, take out all the modded things, and have y'all play on the current map. Which it's not finished, but you could wander around, you could explore, you can do whatever you want with your vanilla horses. That, however, won't work because there's too many modded blocks. With SWLM, the entire server is littered with SWLM blocks, which are the blocks that glow for lighting, so we don't have to put torches everywhere. And because of that, well, it's unusable. So, given that the plugin server is supposed to be a miniature version of SWE, a miniature version of SWE, we're thinking of building a miniature version of the 4,000 by 4,000 map. Like a little tiny baby version that you guys can play on while we do everything else that we do. That way it's not too taxing on our staff, but you can still have something to look at and play with. So that's what we're considering. So what's going to be in the server itself is it's supposed to be, like I said, a mini version of SWE. So the smaller map as well as a plugin we're having specifically built for us, which is not the mod, obviously, because that's, a mod on a plugin server that doesn't really work. So what we plan on doing is just a miniature version. So if your horse needs food every day, water every day, all of those stat changes, etc., are supposed to match the mod as best as a plugin can. Simple, not too difficult, but enough that you can have something to do with it, and it would affect the vanilla ponies. So, and it's the same kind of thing where you can work with your vanilla pony instead of having to replace it every time you want better stats. You don't have to replace it, you can just work with your original horse. So, there's not going to be extensive genetics or anything yet because we're going to keep putting all of our focus into SWE itself. Like actual SWE. This is just to keep y'all busy, let y'all play on something while we build the big stuff. Because we have 800 people on our server now. So, we got to keep you busy one way or another, besides just talking in the server. So, we're trying to support y'all with that. There's nothing on the server as of yet. It is just a bare bones map because we haven't actually built it yet, because I haven't actually planned it yet, so here we are planning. I'll probably make a new folder. Let's see here. And I'm just, oh, that's not what I wanted. I don't remember how to do this. I haven't done this in a while. Just new folder. Yeah, there we go. Look at me being dumb. Um, nope. miniSWE. Create. Yep. miniSWE. Okay, and then new. Let's try Google Docs. Just straight out the gate. You know what? Let's not. I really don't like Google Docs. Well, nothing wrong with Docs. It's just Sheets are better. I organize literally everything in Sheets. It's always Sheets. You just have so much more control, and I like making it clean and pretty. So, untitled spreadsheet. Let's go with general miniSWE info. So, first thing when planning, what I always do is I always put in my little my little design here that I always do, which is I'm just going to pick a color. I don't like pink. I don't want purple. Let's try this weird orange. That's not what I wanted. Black, and then let's try this weird orange. Whew, that is a color. You know what? Screw it. I like it. And then I'm going to put in white text on top of it and do general miniSWE goals. That looks horrendous because of the light on light. So I'm just going to change that back to black. That's better. Bold, italicize. No, don't italicize. And let's go 14. And then I do a line on top, a line underneath, and then here we start. So when starting any project, the first thing you need to get together is your pillars. So your pillars are what the server is supposed to, or whatever the project is supposed to accomplish, how it's supposed to feel, just your main core standards for what you want, and it helps direct the entire project because if you know, how do I put this? Because if you try to add a feature or you try to add anything that does not fit those three standards, then you simply pitch it because it's going to eventually, if you keep adding those things that don't fit all of the core standards, it will eventually just erode your project until it's too big or it's too general or it doesn't make sense or it's all over the place, etc. This is how you keep it all straight. So let's see, pillar number 1. I'm going to need a few of these, so I wonder if it's going to count it. No, it's not good. Usually I have 3, but I'm just going to do extra because I mean it doesn't really hurt to set them up. Okay, so pillar number 1, miniature version of SWE as close as possible. As accurate as possible is a better word. As accurate as possible. Okay, and then another pillar. Simple enough to be fun. Well, let's see. Yeah, simple enough to be fun. No, well, it all equals fun. You can't just use the word fun, especially in, like, game design. If you just use fun, it gets really messy really quickly. It's like under the same thing as happiness. Like, everyone's happiness is a little bit different, what they like, what they don't like, etc. and so on. It's just, it's messy. So, simple enough to be easy for beginners and to maintain, but complicated enough, not complicated, but that's the wrong word. Intricate? Is that a good word? But intricate enough to keep busy, not keep busy. Intricate enough to keep interest over time. Okay? Alrighty. So we got 2 pillars. We need a minimum of 3. You always need 3 because most things can either go in a yes or no, but there's always a maybe in between. Always. So you always make sure that there's a third pillar because there's always a third something. Whenever someone tries to force you into a yes or no, no. There's always a third in between. There's always a compromise. There's always something. So if we try to do this, just the 2, it'll end up fighting amongst itself. So we need to make sure that there can be a majority of some sort. I say this as fact. This is just the way that I do things, and there you go. Take it with a grain of salt, I guess. Simple enough to be easy for beginners and to maintain, but intricate enough to keep interest over time. Miniature version of SWE as accurate as possible. Long-term investment for SWEM, but not priority. That's something very important because SWEM is the priority and the SWE server. Because the SWE server is going to have the chonky horses. It's going to have the mod. So why would we spend all of our time and effort into something that's going to be not even used with the mod? I mean, I want horses with knees. I don't know about you, but I like horses with knees. So, okay, so long-term investment for SWEM, but not priority. So there we go. So we have something that states generally what it's supposed to model after, and then we have the difficulty level, and then we also have how much effort we're supposed to put into it. SWE itself already has its own pillars for what it's supposed to do, so modeling after SWE, we already have most of what we need in that. So we don't have to completely start 100% from scratch because I've already built, quote unquote, I've already built SWE. So it's unnecessary to go really deep into it in that respect. So we got our 3 pillars. Alrighty, so miniature version of SWE. Okay, so from there, I need to assign managers, which I've already talked to different people, so it would be the head of development. I'm going to make Celeste, and that's not her actual name, don't worry about it, but there you go. I'm going to make her the head of development itself, Celeste. And then underneath that is, let's see, I'm more of an advisor at this point because I'm focused on SWE. I'm not focused on focused on this. This is not my core project. I'm too stressed as it is. I'm not taking on a whole nother small server trying to compact all of SWEM into something tiny. I can't do it. I'm not going to do it. But Celeste is going to do it. She has experience with plugin servers though, so it'll be a lot easier for her than it is for me because I keep thinking, oh yeah, I can just do XYZ from SWEM. No, I can't. Advisor is, that's, there we go, is me, and then who else we got? Hey Gabe.
Hello.
I am streaming right now, so if you don't want your voice on live forever, I would suggest muting if you want, or not. I mean, whatever works. Let's see,
Alright.
assistant is Jenny, and then I'm currently planning SWE, which I will screen share for you so you can at least see what I'm doing.
I was gonna pull it up on YouTube, but alright.
Sure, whatever works for you. There's just a delay on YouTube. So if you are sitting here talking with me, if you see it on YouTube, it'll be like 3 minutes later. It's up to you, whichever one you like. Sysadmin is Matt. And then, for anyone who doesn't know, sysadmin means system administrator. So he does all the back-end scary stuff that I don't understand. And then our developer, which is our plugin developer, is, I need to get someone on the website. I haven't done any writing on that. Remind me to do that. Please. Plugin dev, that is Nadarox. Okay, so we've got our general team, and then our builders are just our builders, so I don't need to like set up a whole builder team for a separate server. They'll just take breaks and do miniSWE instead. So this is our staff on that. So we have our pillars, we have our staff. What is the plan? I don't know. So we probably need to do a timeline and a plan. So I'll name it steps, timeline, timeline. Maybe I should do timeline. Timeline, steps, details. Okay. And I'm going to go this way. I keep wanting to ask Matt questions, but I can't because he's not here. Okay, let's see.
The stream name is still set to legendary.
Oh, was it? I keep forgetting that I have to change it every single time, that it keeps the last one. It's so weird.
Yeah, that is a bit strange.
Planning miniSWE. There we go. Planning the miniSWE plugin server. And there we go. And that should do it. Yay, save. Okay. Alrighty, so let's see. Okay, so steps. I'm just going to separate this out. I'm going to keep it similar by doing that. And then keep this similar by doing... How do I do this? I haven't worked with this in a hot second. Okay, there we go. Alrighty, so then that's details. Okay, so timeline. First thing we're going to do is... I don't know. I don't know. Okay. What would be the smartest course of action? So building is not the first thing we do. Obviously we have to plan, but what exactly do we have to plan? Planning is such a big term. It's such a over-encumbering word there. What do we plan first? So I'm planning the general idea, where we're supposed to go, what we're supposed to do. Okay. I've never done a plugin server. I don't even know where to start. I don't even know how I started SWEM. Sorry, SWE. I don't even know how I started SWE, because SWE, I just started doing it, I guess. Um, so first step is to talk to Matt. So timeline, this would take about a week, because, I mean, he has other things he has to do, so I can talk to him, but getting stuff done is a different story. He has his own life. So, let's see, 1 week, and I would need to set up backend, which this includes the server address, costs, backups, address, costs, backups. What else do we need? Address, costs, backups, host, and then sure. That's all I can think of at the moment. So we already have this done. The server is actually up. It's just not built and doable at the moment. So if we do that, the next thing we need to do is... I keep going to building, but building is one of the last things you do after you plan. You don't build anything until you know exactly what you're doing. So my mind needs to get rid of building. So what's the next thing we plan? Okay, so put together a team. I'm just starting scratch here. Put together a team. Address who the leadership is and who the helpers are. Designate jobs, which this has been done, but it just wasn't written down in a document till now, hence what I just wrote before. So that has been done. Okay, so part 2, not part 2? Whatever, 2. Okay. And the reason I put this as 1 week, even though it's already completed, is because you have to make sure that the people can do their job, that you have to make sure that they actually have the time for it, that they understand what you expect of them, etc. and so forth. Sophia, the miniSWE, as if you want to like go back in the stream, it's there too. I explained it more in detail, but I can do a little snippet here again. miniSWE is a miniature version of SWEM, where it's supposed to be a plugin server that people can play on because it'll be faster and easier to put up. So the plugin server we're supposed to build and make short term while y'all wait for swim. So you guys can play on it, you can do whatever you want on it, and just kind of chill together under, the swim name. And then once the swim servers open, y'all can either, keep playing the server if you would like to, or you can move on to swim with the mod, which I'm assuming a lot of people will move over, but I mean, whatever it is you like to do is whatever it is you like to do. If you enjoy the plugin that much, then you know what? Fantastic. I'm glad we made a good plugin for you. Which would be a custom plugin as well, as most horse plugins are. Okay, so back to this. Set up the back end. Put together a team. Let's see. Setup back end is actually, I would do this again in this way. 1 week. Evaluate probability and risks. Okay. That's something you always have to do. Always, 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 always first. It's just automatic for me. I don't even think about it. Okay, so evaluate work costs, money costs, well, just financial costs. That's a better way of putting it. Financial costs. Yep. Let's see. Probability, evaluate the work costs, the financial costs, the time investment, probability for success, etc. Okay, there we go. And then purpose it serves. There we go. So there. Now back to this. So you evaluate the probability and risks, set up the back end, put together a team. Once we put together a team, what's the first thing we attack? The first thing we attack is our limits. Assess limits. Which I would say is find where our budget for time, work, and money is. We don't need to do where. So just find the budget for time, work, and money. And then so if we have our budget, my brain is working at 0% and 100% at the same time. Okay. This is likely to take about 2 weeks because we need to really understand what we're looking into. So find the budget for time, work, and money. Limit for limits of size, construction, and purpose. So what it's supposed to do, or not only what it's supposed to do, but how much we're willing to put into it and how high it can go. Because I mean, it is just a plugin server. Note, it is a plugin server. Needs a line between the intricacies of the mod versus the simplicity of a plugin. And then that will be, I need to fix this. This is not how I do things. Cut. And that didn't work, but fine, whatever. And then I'll do it this way. This is how I usually do it. Note. And I'll do it in a very light yellow. Control V. Okay, there we go. That way it's all in the same box. And this can go a little bit smaller. There we go. Okay, so we need to assess the limits, which I've somewhat worked inside the limits, but we don't have clear written limits yet. Because again, I have to remember that I'm not working with a mod. With a mod, I say, hey dev, can I do this? Or hey dev, I want to do this. And the dev is like, that's a lot, but yeah, you can do whatever you want. And I'm like, yeah. But in a plugin, I say, hey, can I do this? And they're like, no. Yeah, so there's a lot more limits, especially with like how complicated. Because I've seen a lot of like horse plugins that get really overly complicated to the point where it's just a list of stats and numbers, and I'm just sitting there and I'm like, I don't like stats. I don't like numbers. I just want to ride my horsey. I mean, like, yeah, breeding and things, but I mean, at the end of the day, I just want to enjoy my time, and that's just not the way that I do it. So I don't want to make this overcomplicated because in a mod, you can have GUIs, you can have organization structures, you can have whatever you want to make all the information you're providing pretty. But in a plugin, you don't have that luxury. So we have to make it simple enough to where it looks nice and plays nice, but complicated enough to where you can actually do more than get on horse, get off horse. Like, vanilla. So that's a definite thing that is not done yet that needs to be done. Okay. So next from there, what would we do? So we assess our limits. Great. Okay. So limits assessed. And what do we start to do then? We then need server maintenance. Maintenance. You always do your emergency procedures. At least start them as soon as possible. Emergency and maintenance procedures for staff. So how we're supposed to go about figuring out how how the server is supposed to be put together over long term. I'm going to put this as 2 weeks because this is more work than that. Like like if the nether has been ransacked and there's nothing left in the nether, how often do we replace the nether? Do we create a whole new spawn for it? Or do we copy and paste the original spawn that we had before so people know what they're looking at? So they have at least some sort of safety there? Or do we just completely erase it and have people make their own new portal and say, yeah, have at it? And then in a month when it's scoured clean again, we just redo it. Like, where do we go from there? So that's a bunch of things that need to be talked through. Just all the different limits. Are we going to have like a world limit? Will people only be able to go 2,000 blocks, or will they be able to explore to their heart's content? Can the server handle that? Just the backend again, which goes into Matt, which is our sysadmin, and he'll be looking into that soon. So after server maintenance, we need to start server rules. Server staff user rules. So we can get at least, let's see, at least start. Because you at least need to start it so you can have it set up so when you think about it, you can keep adding to it. Because if you don't have it at least started, you'll forget a bunch of things um, in the meantime. Or even if you won't think about it till it's too late, or it's too big, or there's so many details that you had forgotten. It's just a lot. Let's see here. Let's see. Okay. And then, let's see, server staff and user rules. Okay, so, at least start. Okay. general expectations and rules for staff and users. I'll just put and users. Okay, and then that way when it gets closer to the end, you'll be able to get back to it, especially because you at least start this, but you don't finish it at this level. You do not finish it at this level. If you're finishing it at this level, then you're setting yourself up for failure, because during a project you learn a lot. Even if you've done the project 10 times, if you're doing it again, you'll always learn something new, or something you didn't think about, or something that came up from behind. Doesn't matter what it is, there will always be something that you missed. So counting something as closed before it's ready is simply not smart. So, okay, so server maintenance, server staff and user rules. I need to fix these because these do not fit the format. There we go. There we go. Fits format. Okay, and then, so after the staff and user rules, which we already have a good amount of these for whatever it's called, for SWE itself, so I'm not even going to give that a timeline. I'm going to give Matt 2 weeks on the server maintenance, and then assessing the limits, I'm going to give Celeste 2 weeks on that. This is a Celeste job, and then this is a Matt job. This is a Celeste job. This is a me job. Set up the back end. This is a me and Matt job. Evaluate. This is a me job. Of course, you get information from all different people, but if I listed all the names of the people that I talked to about this project before it actually went through, there would just be a total list of names, but it's mainly under my head, because I'm the one who has to decide exactly where things roll. I'm gonna make these, I probably shouldn't make these a different color, but I'm doing it. Fight me. Okay, so, and I'll probably just do a little bit of, I probably shouldn't, but I'm going to, there it is. Probably avoiding is most likely what I'm doing. So server maintenance from there, and then, okay, so from there, now we need to get into the true quote-unquote planning, where it's just plan this, plan this, plan this, plan that. So from there, we need to plan the spawn, plan spawn and tutorial. No, we don't. No, plan spawning and tutorial. The spawn and tutorial is after, because we don't actually know everything that's in the plugins yet. So why would you make a tutorial for outdated information? That doesn't make any sense. So I'm going to put that down there. Plan, spawn, and tutorial. I don't know how long that's going to take, don't mind it. Well, that actually won't take long, because once you already have everything planned, it's kind of just making it look nice, essentially. So I don't think that'll take long. That probably will take, I don't know, 3 days maximum if you're busy. So, okay, so planning spawn tutorial, that's not, okay, so where would we go? What would we do next? Maybe that's why I've been struggling with this so bad, because I don't really know my next step. I haven't sat down and figured it out. It takes a lot of mental effort, at least in my opinion. Okay, so server maintenance. Server staff user rules, which we already have done. Starting it. And then we're gonna go to oh yes, procrastination. Okay, there we go. Server maintenance, server staff user rules. What is our, there's so much to plan. I don't know what to go for first. What am I gonna go for? What am I gonna go for? I'm gonna go for, we've already assessed our limits. Planning pieces. How about Planning expectations. I like that better. Expectations for... Did I already do that? Plugins written in line. Assessing the limits is different than this. Expectations is not the word I'm looking for. If we've already assessed our limits, we need to plan... What is a term for the wideness or the wideness of pieces? Because a plugin server, especially one with as many custom plugins as we have or are planning to have over time, you can't just go out the gate with that. Or even if there's so many different pieces, you have to plan on how those pieces work together. So we're not planning expectations. We're planning the... Gabe, help me out here. Help. Help. Are you...
Scope?
Nope. Scope is the limits. Well, there you go. That's actually a better word for limits. Good job. I appreciate you. Good job.
Thank you.
Scope is a better word for that, but that is not what I'm talking about. Basically, the link in between, it's kind of like the link in between, if you think of like a business with its different departments, it has its HR department, it has its sales department, it has its marketing department, which marketing and sales are two different things. A lot of people try to mix them in the same thing. They are not the same thing. And then like your different management, like all of the link in between all of those different pieces. What is that called? The
Not sure that there is.
relationships. It's not a department. What are they? Department is the wrong word. Pieces is the wrong word. Department is the wrong word. Pieces is the wrong word. Ooh, I have chocolate milk. I know what I want, but screw it. Google, help me. Synonyms for department, division, section, sector, subsection, subdivision, unit, branch, segments, compartments, office, bureau, agency, ministry, province, territory, state, county, yeah, domain, territory, realm, province, preserve, jurisdiction, sphere, field, line, specialty, responsibility, duty, function, charge, task, turf, thing, affair, occupation, job, concern, pigeon? What? Okay. Let's do piece. What's a piece of the pie? Yes, I know I misspelled it. Thank you. I don't know what I'm doing. Resemble, reconstruct, compose, cake, cake, tablet, brick, cube, stick. What? Length. Oh, section. Screw it. Section relationships. That's not the word I want. I'm just gonna have to give up and think of it later. Grain, speck, scrap, remnant, shred, shard, snippet, mite, shattered, smashed, broken, morsel, mouthful, hunk, lump, Department, section, piece. What do I want? Currents case. A financial share, written musical artistic creation, a figure or a token used to make movies on a board game. A symbol. Overlap suggestion, throw in. What? Overlap suggestion, throw in. It's a relationship between what? Screw it. I'm just gonna do is a section. I'll figure it out later. There's no reason in sitting here doing this. Relationships between the different plugins. The different plugins. The
Ability? Is it compatibility? No.
No. It's like
Ah,
it's a
dang.
name of each piece. So each piece that works together, it's one of a whole. Each piece of the pie has a relationship to each piece of the pie. But what do we call a piece of the pie? Usually it's a slice, but this isn't a pie. So it's a slice of the pie, or it's a blank of a.
Module? I don't know.
I don't know what I want. Relationships between the different plugins. Let's see. Relationships between the plugins, the let's see, there's the plugins, interdepartmental cohesion. There we go. Screw it. I want to do it. Thank you, Delphi. Interdepartmental cohesion, because that is overly complicated and I love it. How do I spell? I don't know how to spell. Bam. There it is. It exists. It's good enough. It's just the thing is that they're not departments. They are objects. So like let's say we have 15 different plugins, we need to figure out all of the relationships in between the different plugins. So they're items. Like they're items, they're not actual departments. They don't have a head, they don't have different staff who assist all of it. Like they're not whole departments. They're just items. I mean like it's very. I'll think about it later. I'll probably be like 4 a.m. tonight, and I'll just like shoot straight up and be like, I know what I was looking for, and then I'll forget it by the next morning, and then hate my life and blah 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 blah. So, moving on. I'm just gonna move these down here and get rid of that. And this would be Celeste and me. So Celeste plus. And, well, technically this would be the other way. No, one. Celeste plus. Can I spell, please? Thank you. I would appreciate it. Bam. Okay. Components. You found it. You found the word. Did someone say components earlier? Because I don't remember hearing components. Component relationships. You did it. You smart cookie. I'm so proud of you. Okay. Delphi is in chat, by the way, for anyone who hasn't I never actually said that she's in chat, and she, he, it is helping out in whatever way that they can. There you go. So component relationships. Look at you go. I'm so proud of you. Okay, so relationships between the plugins. Let's see. It's mainly just between the plugins mod comparison. I'm so excited. Matt is going to the zoo with my friend. Well, it's our friend, but whatever. Matt is going to the zoo with my friend today. I couldn't go. My belly condition has been getting a lot worse lately, and I can't leave the house ever, and my life is sad. But he's going, and they're gonna go to the zoo, and he promised to bring me back a plushie, and I'm so excited. Yee! I love plushies. Anyway, distraction over. Relationships between the plugins, mod comparison, and what else? There's another thing. I know there's another thing. Between the plugins, the mod comparison, which is the comparison between the mod is really awesome and the plugin is trying to also be awesome, but be similar, but it can't. But we're going to try to make it nice and not overcomplicated. Relationship between the plugins, mod comparison, and server budget. The budget always has to be considered. Because, like, if we simply don't have the budget to put that much effort in, we simply will not, because the mod is the priority, not the server. Okay, so yay! That's the next big piece, was the component relationships. And then we need to do from the relationships in between all of them, not everything will be ready at the same time. So there needs to be a not a development plan, not a schedule. It needs to be a ongoing upgrade adjustments. Add adjustments. Okay. So ongoing upgrade adjustments, which means the details of that is as the plugins mature, how they are to be implemented, and how we are to work without them while they are in development. That can be said a lot smoother. This doesn't have to be this chunky of a sentence. So how can I, as the plugins mature, how they're implemented and how we're to work without them. How they are to be implemented as they mature. How to function without the plugins. And how they're to be. There we go. Much shorter sentence, compact, does a better job. Good. This would be Celeste and me. I may not have to do a lot of it, but I want to make sure to assist her just so that she doesn't feel alone in this, because this is a pretty big project. It's a side component of SWE and SWEM, and it's modeling off of that, but I mean, she's never owned a server before, so I'm not just gonna plop it on her lap and be like, here you go, enjoy. Like, that is too much. So I'm absolutely here to help at all times. Ongoing upgrade adjustments. This might take 2 weeks to figure out. It shouldn't, but I'm gonna give extra time because, again, I'm busy and she's new. So I don't want to put way too much on her too quickly, because I mean, she has school, she has work. I'm not gonna expect her to do the world every single day. Okay, so once we figure out the relationships between all the plugins, and so we get our highest standard, we're not going to have that highest standard for a while. So our next step would be ongoing upgrade adjustments, which means figuring out where our lowest standard is. Well, not our lowest standard, but our starting point is, and then how we're going to work up to our highest standard. So there we go. So once that's done, we figure out where we're supposed to be, and then we need to actually start building. So, not like building, but I mean like planning. Okay, so where do we go? My brain went like 10 different directions, because I usually have because SWEM has enough volunteers at this point, I can have 10 different projects being worked on at one time, but miniSWE doesn't have that capability, so I need to work smarter and more efficient because we have such a tiny team so far. So, going from there. Once we figure out where our starting point is, that's where Matt comes in. So this is sysadmin development. So this would be conversation with sysadmin. Setting up back-end of the non-custom plugin base, which that doesn't make sense. So I'm going to insert a row below here, and I'm going to we will start without a single custom plugin as the base and work up from there. Work up to SWEM standard from there. Okay, so that means that would make sense for this. So conversation says admin setting up backend of the non-custom plugin base. So I'm going to go into this one and I'm going to go quotes base. So that way when I go here and I say base, it's a reference to the other one, so they understand that I mean the same base. This needs to be extended slightly farther, so I'll do it here. It's better to do it in the front than the back. There we go. Okay, so conversation with sysadmin, setting up back end of the non-custom plugin base. And then from there, okay, so this is decide. We need to decide announcement. We also need to decide insert 2 below, insert 4 below. So from there, we need to decide the announcement. We need to decide the alpha, beta, what is it called when you warn something, when you warn someone about something? It's not an actual warning, like a notice. Notice. Maybe a notice? I don't like that word. Delphi, help me. Delphi. It's not a notice, but we just want to be very clear so they know that this is not the finished 100% server. So, Okay, so alpha, beta, notice, because I think I already just said this. Either I thought it really hard or I just said it. I don't really know. But the point is, let's see, Celeste and Matt is here. The point is that they need to know absolute certain that it is not the final product and it is not SWEM, because people will be very confused. So we need to put it in giant letters. This is not SWEM. Because otherwise people are going to be like, well, I thought SWEM was a mod. It is a mod. Caution? Caution is a good word. But notification. Notice is like a smaller version of notification. Do I need to Google synonyms again? Okay, fine. Googling Google. Attention, observation, awareness? Forewarning. I like forewarn. Alpha, beta, alpha, something, forewarning. I like that. Good job, Delphi. And thank you, Matthew. Okay, so there we go. So the announcement of it's open, they need to know that it's in alpha or beta and that they're going to be our guinea pigs for because part of the reason for the server is development of our plugins. So we can, preface is good. I like preface. But, so they are going to be beta testing our plugins because like we are very, very high security on our mods, but on a plugin server, you don't have access to the plugins. You can play with them, but you don't have to have access to them. So when y'all are on the server, if y'all want to go help Nadarox test some stuff, I mean, you're free to do so. And then while we upgrade and build, we can upgrade and build and make sure it's ready. So beta testing for SWE doesn't have to take as long because all of the plugins have been pre-tested, if that makes sense. Anyway, so if we're deciding, I'm just going to do that because this is probably not going to stay here because this completely breaks my little system that I have set up here, but I'm gonna have to figure it out. Anyway, so we're going to need to decide the announcement, we need to decide the forewarning, we need to decide when to open. Would it be before we build? Before build? Okay, wait. Before, during, after build. Before, during, after base SWE plugin. Well, I don't need to say SWE plugin, but I'll just do this plugin. Okay, so for anyone who doesn't know, we're going off of SWE because I just think it's funny that everything is based off SWE. So SWEM is Starworm Equestrian Mod. SWE is Starworm Equestrian, and then it's just like the server, because usually servers don't have server after the name, like, you know, like a Equestrafun or Equestria Worlds or basically anything else with Equestria in front of it, because they all sound the same. So like, uh, so we just have Starworm Equestrian, and then Starworm Equestrian Mod, and then miniSWE, which is Mini Starworm Equestrian, which is a mini version of the SWE server. And then the plugin that we're going to make for that server is going to be SWEP, which is Starworm Equestrian plugin. I think it's funny. Anyway, okay, moving on. So when do we open? When are they allowed to do things? We're supposed to also be using it to build, because there's certain things we can't build without a certain plugin available, which is very helpful. It's a very wonderful plugin. I can't remember what it's called. Something about dimensions. Okay. Okay, how do I condense this? Because this doesn't have to be 3 random lines, and it doesn't have to be like this. So let's say this is 1 week, and then this is going to be finish line decisions, or it's not necessarily finish line. Finish line versus continual decisions? Let's pretend that makes sense, because I don't know if it actually does. It's fine. It's fine. Everything's fine. So announcement of opening. Basically just when to announce. When to announce opening. Alpha, beta, forewarn. And then open before, and then I'm just going to say when to open, and make this a note right here. Bam. Control C, Control V, that was the right one, I think so, yep. And this needs to match, so I need to push it over there. Okay, there we go. Okay, so that's our next thing done. So sysadmin development, and then the finish line versus continual decisions. Decisions in parentheses, because otherwise it looks funk. Okay. Alright. So after we do that, we decide when we can open and when we can't open. We have all the plugins in place, how they're supposed to work together. We also have how all of them are supposed to be working in general. I'm missing a step. I know I'm missing it. I just don't know what it is. I'm missing a step. I'm missing a step. So we decide when we're going to open, what our base is already there. Okay, what we need to do next is assess, not assess. We're not assessing. What I'm thinking of is shiz. I lost it. No, no, don't lose it. I had it. Don't lose that. I think I lost it. Don't do that. Brain. Brain. I got distracted by pretty colors. Brain. Nope, 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 nope. Darn it! I lost it. I knew it. I had it. It was there. Um, what was I saying? We were assessing something. Assessing fun. I'm gonna write it down before. This is not what it's called because this is a really dumb term. It makes sense in my brain, but this has to make sense for other people and they have to understand it. And like I explained before, you're never supposed to use fun when working in, not never, but not necessarily supposed to use fun as a standard in game development because fun is not a concrete standard. So, yeah. So, assess fun is not what we do yet. That would also be part of beta testing and alpha testing. If people are like, hey, this is crap and it's boring, we're gonna be like, oh. Okay. So we're not assessing the fun of it. We need to, what I'm trying to say is we need to figure out all of the things that they can do, everything that they can, the players, I mean, everything the players can do, everything the players have options to keep them busy, their goals, why they would even play. We need to assess the, not assess, we're not assessing, we're planning. We need to, like, we need to plan the progression per se. Um, planning the progression of what, like progression and options for play. Delphi Matthew, help me. Are you guys still here? Help me. um, Gabe, help me.
What am I
Have you not been paying attention this whole time?
kind of doing something else, but no, I wasn't.
You're useless to me. Okay, so we're not assessing the fun. We are create, screw it, plan options for play. I'm gonna set all of these to this way. All things engagement is a pretty apt phrase. Engagement. I do like engagement. What can be interacted with in the scope of advancement? Okay. Pretty apt phrase. What can be interacted with in the scope of advancement? Okay, so plan options for engagement. I like engagement. Pretty sure I said that, but I completely looked over the fact that I even said it. Plan options for engagement. Build courses of options. Like building, farming, breeding, questing, advancement, figuring, reason to play. Good enough. Okay, plan options for engagement. Because we got to make sure that, because like a lot of servers that I see, they open up and they basically have a tutorial where they're like, okay, so here you go, you have a horse and you have a place to put it, and there you go. And it's like, so like their entire server is just a tutorial, and then once you get through the tutorial, there's literally nothing to do. Nothing at all. You can't do anything. It's boring. So we need to take special course in making sure that we look into it, because I want to make sure that, so once our, especially one of the biggest things, because I've played, I think, almost every single other horse server. I've played it minimum of once. And a lot of them, they just kind of drop off. They're like, okay, you have a horse or whatever, and there's more stuff to do, I think, because there's people who you can see on like the Patreon and stuff, that people are donating like crazy, like $50 a month, $100 a month, etc. to the server. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, I don't even know what to do. I don't even know where to go. I don't know what y'all are talking about. I mean, like, there's nothing here. So we need to make sure that they know that there's options of where to go, and options of how to get back, and options for those things. So like, if let's say they go completely through the questing in a week, so then they can go back through and maybe they can start a business on farming and start making some money, and then buy some more horses, and then eventually get into breeding or whatever. They need to know that there's options and routes to go other than a general, or if they choose one, to remind them that there's more to do. Or if there simply is not things to do, we need to figure it out and plan it, because there better be things to do. Um, Plan options for engagement. This will be Celeste. Okay. And then I think this will be Celeste and Jenny, because Jenny has a lot of ideas that I can't do anything with right now, and I keep forgetting. So if Jenny works with Celeste on that, they can really work together well. Um, that reminds me, I need to check on Jenny. She hasn't been feeling well. I need to check on her. Anyway, um, okay, so let's see. I need to check on Star. I need to check on a lot of people. Um, 1 week, plan options for engagement, build courses for options. Okay, so options for engagement. Once that's done, we need to double check the above steps. You always go through again, just to be careful. Double check the above steps for changes and edits that could... I never remember the difference between effect and affect. So I'm just going to put affect because my brain is telling me I think that's the right one, but I'm really bad at 50-50 shots, so I don't know. Double check the above steps for changes and edits that could affect the lower steps. This shouldn't take long. This should take 3 days maximum. For me, like, I'm doing like 3 days or whatever in this. There was a 3 days at one point. Where did it go? This was 3 days. My 3 days is basically like, I'm giving someone else 3 days to do it, but if I were to do it, it would take me half a day. But I'm just giving that extra time just in case, because you always plan for something to go wrong. But I'm just making sure we have a really wide range. So then once we double check the above steps, then we can plan buildings. And then we can plan spawn and tutorial. Tutorial. Then we can plan the spawn and tutorial. That would take, well, let's say 3 days. And then the implementation would take a lot longer. And then let's say we give ourselves 3 weeks for building. And then this is baseline for open. And then from there we continue on. And then development, whoopsies. Development continues. And then we would need to do staff training, because we're also going to use miniSWE, because like a lot of our members haven't been like not necessarily staff, but they haven't been like cavaliers or commanders, or sorry, mods or admins. They haven't been mods or admins on any other servers. So I want to use miniSWE in something that we don't really mind if it gets that destroyed because we have backups and it's a basic anyway. It doesn't really matter that horribly much if something bad happens. So we're going to use it to train the staff on how to handle situations on the server, how to go forward and work with it, so they're not just like dropped into a server and say, okay, manage it now. That's just, to me, that's unfair. It's a failure on the manager's part, and given that I'm the manager, here we are. Okay, so development continues, staff training, user testing. Make sure the users actually enjoy what they're doing, because if they don't like miniSWE, we're going to completely change course. See test user engagement with current server and continuously work for SWE improvements. Okay, staff training. Train staff for live server management. Adapt rule sets and procedures according to new education from live. Okay. This has an extra space it doesn't need. Okay, and then development continues. Plugin development moving forward ahead. To alpha and beta of all main plugins. Okay, and then there we go. So building of the miniSWE server for open use. Plan spawn tutorial. Plan the tutorial and how it'll function on the server. Function inside spawn on the server. Plan buildings. Plan the pixel map. The main town and castle on server. Town and castle on server. To assure excuse me. To assure fair use before building. Okay. I'm gonna do pixel map and plan. Okay, let's see. From here it is double check the above steps. This is me. Well, Celeste first would have to go through it, and then she would present it to me, because I can double check everything just to make sure from an outside perspective. Plan buildings. This is likely Jenny. Plan spawn tutorial. This is likely her and me, Jenny. And then building. I need to put this back. And then building, which is Jenny plus builders. And this is Nadarox is mainly this one. Staff training is mainly me, because I'm head of all staff. I keep a tight hold on that to make sure everything works well. I don't want anything to slip through the cracks. I see a lot of servers where just a lot of people are kind of running rampant, and not much people know it. Like, they don't even know that they're running rampant. So I keep a tight hold on all of it, just in case, to make sure all the users have a good time no matter when they log on. User testing, this is more of Matt. Matt will be looking into the plugins and looking into... Okay, so we have a general system of what to do and where to go. And my brain hurts. But we did it! Woo! I will move this. Here, I'll just do cut and will it paste? Yeah, it pasted. Okay, and then I will delete. I don't like things not fitting on one page, so I'm just going to delete again. And there we go. So everything fits on one page, nice and clean. It's looking good. Let's see, rename to general. Ha! All right. Yay! That was a lot of brain. Oh, I forgot a couple steps. Okay. Double check the above steps, and then I'm going to insert one below and insert one below. These two steps up here that were not finished because it said at least start. Paste. This one is... Where is this? Where is this? Okay, I'm gonna put start here and start here, and then I'm gonna do a little tally thing and a little tally thing, and then I'm going to do here, I'm gonna do solidify. Control C, Control V, okay, and okay, there we go. So now we're good, right? Now we're good. Okay, so now I'm just gonna double check it just to be sure that I didn't blatantly forget something chunk. Okay. Alrighty. So we've got, yep, head of dev, just the whole development, not like actually like dev as in code, but development. So that's, I'm just gonna put her as head because otherwise people are gonna get confused because she's gonna come to me and be like, I can't code, and I'm like, you don't have to. I don't know either. So Celeste is the head, I'm the advisor. Jenny can assist when necessary. Matt is the sysadmin. Nadarox is the plugin dev. We have our three main pillars. It's a miniature version of SWE, as accurate as possible without too much. Simple enough to be easy for beginners and to maintain, but intricate enough to keep interest over time. And a long-term investment for SWEM, but not priority. Because even though this server is kind of just going up and it's kind of going to be used, we do plan on making it a legitimate long-term server. So if there's someone who can't handle the mods, or maybe the server's full or something, they can spill over into the plugin server if they would like to. Okay, and then timeline and steps. So 1 week for evaluating the probability and risks. That's already been done. 1 week set up the back end. Matt has already done that. The server is live, just not open to public. 1 week put together a team. I've already done that. And then we got 2 weeks to assess the scope of exactly how much budget we have. The server maintenance, Matt will have to start writing that down. The server staff and user rules. I already have that, but Celeste can look over what I already have and spruce it up, because I'm sure I'm missing a ton. Component relationships in between the plugins, that would take about a week or so, probably maybe a little bit more, but I'm not too horribly worried about it, because that will adapt and change as time goes on. 2 weeks ongoing upgrade adjustments, how to function without the plugins and how they're to be implemented as they mature. And then I have that note there. And then sysadmin development, which is Matt doing a bunch more backend to make sure that the server is up and running as it's supposed to, at least in the beginning. Finish line versus continual, what will be now versus later. The mod, Emily, the mod will be available to everyone on CurseForge, so you can just download the mod and you can play in single player, you can make your own server and play on your own server. It'll just be released at the same time as the SWE server, so if you want to play on the official SWE server and figure out the mod with a bunch of other people who want to at the same time, you are free to do so, because the server will be open. So yes, you can play in single player if you want, because it'll be available to every person, not just servers. Okay? And then we have, let's see, server maintenance. Let's see, yep. Plan options for engagement, just to be certain. Double check the above steps. Server maintenance, server staff user rules solidifying, planning the buildings, planning the spawn tutorial, building it all up, and then open. So there we go. How much is that based on? So that's, let's see, 3 weeks, that's a month, 2 months, 2 months and a week. Okay, so let's see, 2 months and 1 week. So I don't expect it to take nearly that long, but just in case, I'm thinking about 2 months, 1 week to get the plugin server open. That also depends on if we want to do building during or after or whatever, because that'll chop off a whole 3 weeks. But that depends. So let's see. I'll do 2 months, 1 week if open after building, and then how much would it be without building? So that's 1 month. Let's see. Well, there's a few more 3 days in there than I thought. So let's see. 2 weeks, 1 week, 1 week. Okay, so here's a month and 1 week. And 3 days for 3 days. That's another 2 weeks. So that's a month and 3 weeks. Okay, so that's a month and... Wait. I'm bad at math. Here, give me a second. My brain is not putting together well. Okay, so just give me a moment. It's fine. Everything's fine. 2 plus 1 plus 2. I didn't even notice the 2 at the top. Plus 1 plus 0.5 plus 0.5 plus 1 plus 0.5. Yep. Should be it. Plus 3. That's 11.5 weeks, and then that's divided by... So, yeah, 2 months and 3/4, I think. Don't worry about it. I'm bad at math. It's fine. It's fine. Everything's fine. I'm really bad at math. So 2 months and 3 weeks if open after building, and it would just be 2 months if open before building. Well, that's actually... because that's 3 weeks and that's another week, so that would be 1 month, 3 week. There we go. 1 month, 3 week. If open before building. Okay. There we go. So, my brain is slightly fried, and game night is in 30 minutes. So I think I'm going to end it there and be done for the day. If y'all would like, we do have a Discord that you are free to join at any time. We do streams almost daily of SWEM development, or at least something. I'm usually in call all the time, so you can, just hop in call with me, ask me questions if you need to, or um, if you'd like to apply to be staff, that is totally cool as well. Just DM me in Discord once you're in the server, and you are free to get an application for that. And if you would like to support the development, we do have a Patreon in our comment thingy. What is that again? It's not a comment. It's a description. That's it.
Description.
Yeah, there we go. So there you go. So I will be ending this now, taking about 30 minutes to eat food, which I have not done yet, and then it'll be server game night. Alrighty, bye bye all.